Batman, Daughter of the Demon, Gotham City, New Jersey, June 2005. It was night. It was still. And a colorful figure scales up the drain pipe into a room in a boarding house. It was none other than young Robin, Batman's youthful ward, now in college. And he was doing summer school this year, so he did not return home to Wayne Penthouse. As he was sneaking back into his room, suddenly he sees two figures in the room, and he says,
"Hey, who are you guys and what are you doing in here?"
Suddenly, the men draw guns, and Robin sees that they had silencers on them, and they shot him. Hours later, at the lavish penthouse of Bruce Wayne hangs up the phone and tells Alfred, "It's no good, Alfred. No one hasn't seen him for days at the university. This has to mean trouble." Alfred says to Bruce, "Oh, Master Bruce, do not worry. You taught young Master Dick how to take care of himself. I'm sure he'll show up, or escape, whoever captured him." Then Alfred says, "Here you go, sir. This is today's mail." Bruce Wayne sifts through the mail and he sees a big manila envelope. Bruce takes the envelope and it was marked Bruce Wayne. There was no postage stamp or return address. Bruce thought it weird, and Alfred says, "Oh, sir, they probably put it inside the mailbox." Bruce says to Alfred, "You're probably right." Bruce opens the manila envelope and he pulls out a picture. He looks at the picture and he was shocked and he says, "Oh, God! Alfred, look!" Alfred looks at the picture. It was a picture of Robin tied up somewhere, and there was a sticky note on the picture, and it said, "Dear Batman, come and save him if you can." Alfred screams, "Oh, dear God, sir! Someone's taken young Master Dick and is challenging you to rescue him, but who?" Bruce Wayne says, "It could be a big number of people. Batman has many enemies." And then he says, "God damn it, but who would kidnap Robin? That is the big question. This is so frustrating," said Bruce, as he let out a big sigh. Then he decided to further analyze the manila envelope for anything, any clues. He then says to Alfred, "Alfred, cancel all my appointments. Bruce Wayne's unavailable. Family emergency." Alfred says, "Yes, sir. I'm going down to the Bat Bunker and analyze this picture and the manila envelope for anything." Alfred says, "Yes, sir." So Bruce Wayne goes to the secret elevator and goes down to the Bat Bunker, where he had the necessary equipment to analyze the picture and the envelope. So Bruce Wayne steps off the secret elevator and the lights of the Bat Bunker turn on. As he was heading towards a workbench, he heard a voice that frightened him. The voice said, "I was waiting for you, detective. It took you long enough." Bruce Wayne turned around and saw a tall black man with a magnum mustache, clad in green, with a green cape that was gold-lined, and behind him was an equally bigger guy, if not taller than him, completely muscular, Middle Eastern-looking man with a red cape. And the black man began to identify himself, and he says, "Forgive me. Let me introduce myself. I am Ras Al Ghul, and this is my bodyguard, Ubu," he says. Bruce Wayne says, "I heard of you, Ras Al Ghul. It's nice to meet you face to face, but I got 3 questions," said Bruce Wayne to Ras. Then he proceeds to ask the first one. "Number 1, Ras, how did you find this place and how did you find out my identity?" Ras Al Ghul answered him, and he says, "It's simple, detective. Number 1, it takes money to be Batman. And there's only very few people in Gotham City who can afford to be Batman. And further analysis indicated that you were the likely candidate due to the fact that both of your parents were killed when you were very young in front of you. And you're the owner of a massive multi-billion-dollar company that manufactures a lot of things from microchips to body armor." Then Bruce Wayne said, "Okay, question number 2. How did you find this place and get in here?" Then Ras Al Ghul responded back, "Well, I figured that you probably would have your hideout underneath your mansion, but your mansion burned down and is being rebuilt. So you probably would have an auxiliary hideout somewhere, and since you moved in here, I figured that you would have another base of operations down here. And I was right, and I found it, and I was easily able to bypass the security locks that you had in here. Bruce Wayne's like, wow, I really need to update the security codes on those locks. Then Bruce Wayne asked the final question. Okay, Ras Al Ghul, question number 3. What do you want? Then Ras Al Ghul said, easy, detective. Me and you have one big problem. Your ward was kidnapped, and so was my daughter. Then Ras Al Ghul holds up a picture of Talia, tied and gagged, and she seemed to be laying on a bunch of Persian rugs. And he showed him the sticky note that was on the picture that says, come and find your daughter as you can. Bruce Wayne says, okay, so me and you have a mutual problem. I don't trust you, said Bruce Wayne. And Ras Al Ghul responded back, that's understandable, detective, but my daughter told me all about you and how you helped in the defeat of Dr. Dark last month. So only you can help me find my daughter. Then Bruce Wayne says, okay, I'll help. Let me get started. Bruce Wayne goes over to the workbench and starts analyzing everything on the picture with every scientific instrument he had. He eventually used a powerful microscope and found powdery substances around the picture and in the inside of the manila envelope. And then he takes the substance and begins analyze it with the chemical analyzer, and then he gets the results, and Bruce says, Eureka! Ras Al Ghul says, you found something? Bruce says, yes, that powder is a herb. It's a very rare herb that grows in the Indian subcontinent. It's used in rituals, specifically a ritual of a group of killers called the Thugimara. Ras Al Ghul was like, the Thugimara? I thought they were extinct, wiped out by the British in the 19th century. Bruce Wayne says, yes, they were, but there has been a recent spat of strangulations, and a lot of the locals believe that the Thugimara are being revived by a leader. Then Ras Al Ghul says, that's very interesting, detective. Then we shall go to India. Bruce Wayne says, yes, give me a moment to pack. As they were heading towards the elevator, Bruce Wayne went first. Suddenly, Ubu violently shoved Bruce Wayne out the way, and he says, filthy infidel, my master goes first. Ras Al Ghul then says, you have to pardon Ubu, detective. He's very overzealous in his job. Then Bruce Wayne says, okay, I forgive him, but that's strike one, he says, looking at Ubu directly in the eye, giving him a very dirty look. Ubu gave him a dirty look back, and Ras Al Ghul stepped in the elevator first, followed by Bruce Wayne, then Ubu. Sometime later, the odd trio were in a private luxury jet flying over Europe on its way to India. Ras Al Ghul looks at Batman and he says, surely, detective, your ward and my daughter are in trouble and you don't show the least bit of concern or any emotions. Do you even care? Asked Ras Al Ghul. Batman responded back,
I can't be agitated, Ras Al Ghul. I have to be cool-headed about this. I cannot let my emotions take over and cloud my thinking.
After explaining to Ras Al Ghul, Batman thought to himself, if I have to cry, I'll cry later. Soon, Calcutta, city of 1,000 miseries, 1,000,000 tears, behind every door lurks a horror, behind every smile a knife. In the streets, there was an old priest begging for money. Alms for Allah! Alms for Allah! He was dressed in a long robe, had a long white beard, and he had a long walking stick. Soon 2 young men come up to him and look at him, and he says to those 2 young men, please, good sirs, alms for Allah. Then one of the young men says, oh no, priest, we're not here to give you alms. We're here to take. So hand over your begging cup, or else you're going to be dead, old man. Suddenly, the priest hits the criminal that threatened him with his walking stick right over his head. The second hoodlum sees in shock and was surprised. It was very unpriest-like of that priest. Then the robes fly off, and the mask gets pulled off. It was not a priest. It was Batman in disguise. The two hoodlums freak out and attack Batman, but Batman quickly made short work of them. Then Batman picks up the one hoodlum that attacked him first, and he begins to interrogate him.
Okay, you only have one chance and one chance to speak only. Now talk. Where is the Thuggy Mara?
The young hoodlum says, I won't talk. I won't talk. They'll kill me if I say something. Then Batman says to him,
If you don't tell me what I want to know, you're gonna be a helpless beggar on these streets for the rest of your life when I cripple you.
Then the man talks. They're at the end of the Isle of Widows. You find them. You'll find them there. That's all I know. I swear. That's all I know, said the crook. Then Batman says to him,
Good. Now you earned yourself some rest.
Then Batman proceeds to headbutt the crook, knocking him out cold and throwing him onto the ground. He then picks up the cup full of coins that the people gave to him when he was disguised as a beggar, and he gives the coins to a little boy who was watching the whole thing on the streets. The little boy let out a smile and said thank you in Hindi and ran off. Batman let out a slight smile, but that was something he conditioned himself not to do when he was in the costume. And then he walks off, and Ras Al Ghul and Ubu join him, and Ras Al Ghul asks him, So, detective, did you find out something? Batman says to Ras Al Ghul,
I did. The crook told me that they're hiding out at the end of the Alley of Widows.
Ras Al Ghul then says, Excellent, detective. Your reputation precedes you. Come, let's go to the Alley of Widows. Well, the unusual trio walked down the Alley of Widows and reached the end of the alley. There was a building there with an open door. Batman knew there was a trap there, so he proceeds to go inside the building. It was dark and quiet. All of a sudden, he heard the roar of a wild cat. And without hesitation, Batman jumped into attack mode and elbowed the jaguar right in the face as it was coming down on him from its mighty leap. Then Batman and the jaguar were on the ground rolling around, wrestling each other. Batman making sure that jaguar didn't get a chance to swipe at him with his claws. As the two were wrestling, Batman was able to get around to the jaguar's head, grab the jaguar in the headlock, and then proceed to snap the jaguar's neck. Afterwards, Batman gets back up from the ground. Despite his best effort, the jaguar landed a few scratches and damaged his batsuit, but luckily, the batsuit's tri-weave Tauron outer layer coated with PTFE protected him. It prevented the jaguar's claws from getting any further, but still, the batsuit was damaged. Ras Al Ghul comes in with Ubu and says, Wow, detective, there is no limit to your prowess. Then Batman says to Ras Al Ghul,
That jaguar was trained. The question is, what was he trained to protect?
Then Ubu points out that there was a desk at the end of the room. The three of them walk over. Batman looks at the desk and he sees a giant map that was unfolded, and he says to Ras Al Ghul,
It's a map of the Himalayas.
Then Batman points out to a red marker dot on one peak, and he says to Ras Al Ghul,
That red mark on the map, I bet you that's where your daughter and my ward are located at.
Then Ras Al Ghul says to Batman, Indeed, detective, indeed. I'm willing to bet that's where they're at too. Then Batman asks Ras Al Ghul the big question.
I bet you can facilitate an expedition, but if you can't, I can do it.
Then Ras Al Ghul says to Batman, No need, detective, I can easily facilitate the expedition. Then the three begin to leave, but Batman remembered to let Ras Al Ghul first, and then he did. Ubu looked at Batman and let out a smile. Batman really wanted to beat the crap out of Ubu. Later, at Mount Nanda Devi, one of the mighty Himalayas, rising from the wastelands between India and Tibet, 25,645 feet into thin, brutally cold air. Treacherous, savage terrain that allows any who dares it only one mistake. To this nightmare of blistering wind and blinding snow trekked the Batman and his two strange companions. Batman, Ras Al Ghul, and Ubu were going through the craggy caverns of the mountains. As they trekked through the blistering winds, Batman had noted strange tracks on the snow, and he says to Ras Al Ghul,
Those are definitely footprints. It hasn't snowed in days, so these tracks are still fresh. That means we're on the right course.
They made it to a rock face, and they began driving the pikes inside and started to climb the mountain face. Soon, Batman, Ras Al Ghul, and Ubu made it to a ledge. They get up. Batman was ready to drive in another set of pikes, and Ras Al Ghul looks out to the desolate mountain ranges. Then Ubu asks Ras Al Ghul, Master, are you fatigued? And Batman asks him,
Roz, if you're tired, we could stop here for a while.
Ras Al Ghul says, No, Batman, no. I have as much stamina as you. I'm just enjoying the view. The beautiful, desolate view. It reminds me of my African home. Desolate, nothing around for miles. Then Batman says to Ras,
We can enjoy the view later when the kids are safe.
So the three started climbing up again. A cold wind started to blow and some snow began falling. All of a sudden, a rifle shot echoes through the mountain. Well, the bullet from that shot hits the rope beneath Batman, causing Ras Al Ghul and Ubu to fall to their deaths. Batman thinks to himself, oh god, sniper, I gotta get to cover. I'm almost at the top, there's a small cave. Well, the rifle shots were getting closer and closer, but Batman made it to the small cave. He quickly takes off the parka, feeling that it would hinder his movement. Then he takes the parka and he quickly flings it outwards to distract the sniper. Sure enough, it worked as the sniper took shots at his parka that he threw out. Then Batman quickly takes out his modified grapple gun, which had a spike for mountain climbing versus the usual grapple hook. He shoots it to a nearby mountain face, and then, across the chill chasm, he flings himself, a final desperate attempt to reach the steep slope 15 feet away, a murderer in front and yawning doom below. Meanwhile, the sniper was looking for Batman. He has lost sight of Batman. He wondered, where the heck is the target at? Suddenly, Batman came out of nowhere, attacked him, landed a few punches, and the guy fell off the cliff to his death. Then Batman looks around and he sees the black smoke of cooking fire. He knew he was on the right track, so he begins trekking across the snow-covered mountain towards the direction of the shaft of black smoke that was rising. Batman figures to himself, there are probably a bunch of guns trained on me, but they're not going to shoot. I know they're not. Then Batman hears a helicopter flying overhead. Batman took a guess on who the passengers were, and he says in his mind, I think I know who the passengers are in there. So Batman eventually climbs his way up to the entryway of the caves. Sure enough, the men who were cooking dinner at a campfire quickly draw their guns, and Batman says to them,
Put your guns away before you hurt yourself. I'm sure your boss does not want you to kill me yet, not until he's had a go at me.
The guards let Batman through. As Batman entered the giant cave, there were torches all over the place lighting up the cave. There was a giant throne carved out of the rockwork of the caves with a giant goat head on top of it. To the left, Batman sees Robin tied up. He quickly runs over and cuts Robin free, and Robin says to Batman,
Oh, thank God he came. I thought I was never going to get out of here. Let me guess, you already figured out everything what's going on.
But before Batman could utter a syllable, the dynamic duo heard a voice echoing the cave, saying, So you have made it this far, Batman. Batman turns to look and sees a tall built man wearing a green cape and a gold ram's mask. And he points to Batman and he says, "So, Batman, how do you intend to get out of this cave alive?" Batman says to him,
If you want, I'll show you how I'm going to get out of here alive.
So Batman walks over to the masked man, and the two of them begin a violent fight. During the fight, Batman shatters the Ram's mask, revealing the identity of the man behind the mask. It was none other than Ubu. Batman knew it was Ubu the whole time and began beating the crap out of Ubu in retaliation for all those times that Ubu pushed him around and threatened him. Batman throws a hard left, then a hard right, and then he does a mighty uppercut that sends Ubu flying backwards unconscious. As Ubu falls backwards unconscious, he falls on a blue curtain, and his body weight rips the curtain down, revealing Ras Al Ghul was behind the curtains, watching the whole fight. And Ras Al Ghul was not alone. Standing next to him in a beautiful white dress was his daughter, Talia, with a big smile on her face. Then Ras says, "Congratulations, detective. You defeated Ubu in the fight. Not very many people can defeat him in a fight." Then Batman says,
I knew it was you the whole time, Ras Al Ghul. I figured it out in India when your little manservant, who's drooling blood over there, didn't stop me from going first into that house.
Then Batman asks Ras Al Ghul,
Why, Ras? Why the elaborate quest? Why this whole test? What do you want?
Then Ras Al Ghul gives his explanation. "See, detective, long time ago, I think 800 years ago now, the Brotherhood of the Demon was founded in West Africa. Over the years, the Brotherhood of the Demon grew more and more, and as it began incorporating women into the fold and people of other races and nationality into the fold, they changed their name to the Society of Shadows. And now, I'm getting older now, and I want to retire. My daughter is more than capable of running this organization, but I have stern traditionalists that won't let her take control unless she's married. So this is a way to shut him up. And plus, after you saved my daughter from Dr. Dark last month, she has fallen madly in love with you, and I wanted to see the man who saved her." Then Talia walks up to Batman. She says, "It's nice to see you again, Batman," or should I say Bruce Wayne. And then she pulls off Batman's cowl and gives him a big kiss. Robin looks on with puzzlement, scratching his head. Like and subscribe. The end.